Hey guys, Lex here, back for some more of The Greatest Attorney. Last time, we arrived in Great Britain and we're gonna start this trial with no prep whatsoever. See how it goes. 18th of February, 10 a.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. Oh god, that's 6 voices. 6 voices I gotta do. So, this is the highest court in Great Britain, the Old Bailey. The centuries of history in this place is palpable, isn't it? It's so different from the Supreme Court of Japan.
It feels both imposing and serene at the same time. The atmosphere almost makes words redundant. Whatever the country, determining a person's guilt or innocence is always a solemn affair. May I ask something, Mr. Naruhodo?
Oh, yes. What?
Your eyes look ready to pop out of your head again.
Damn, I do that too. I know, but I can't help it. Oh shit. Oh. That's 7 new voices. In the of Her Majesty, the Queen, I hereby declare the court to be in session. We here today determine the guilt of, we are here today to determine the guilt or innocence of Mr. Magnus McGilded. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is fully prepared. That must be the Reaper of the Bailey. He really does look fully prepared to dispatch his next poor victim to the underworld. Counsel for the defense, you appear to be Eastern. Do you speak English? Huh? Oh, yeah. Of course, sorry. But he asked if the defense was ready, and I couldn't be further from ready if I tried. Those eyes please me, Nipponese. Huh? They shroud your fear, your doubt, your trepidation. They run wild, clinging to some phantom notion of courage. The quintessential look of a sacrificial lamb. A cold shiver just ran down my spine all the way to the tips of my toes. Now, Mr. McGilded. Yes, my lord. You stand accused of murder, a capital offense. You could be sent to the gallows if found guilty. Are you quite sure you wish to entrust your defense to this foreigner? I have no choice. As I've always said, my lord, 'tis a grand thing to give opportunities to your own. Even if the fella's a student from some little island off in the Far East. Is it not the British way to ignore the dangers to yourself and give those less fortunate a fair chance? I'd like to think the acts of chivalry do the great British Empire proud.
Listen to Mr. McGilded.
What a fine gentleman London has in
You
him.
hear he donated £5,000 to the government the other day. Mother, please, may we don't play the McGilded Park? It seems as though everyone in the public gallery is firmly behind Mr. McGilded.
That's definitely welcome news, and he certainly has a way with the words. I'm surprised he couldn't convince anyone to defend him. Do I get executed too? Eloquently put, Mr. McGilded, and most notable sentiments. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm sure I hardly need to remind you that your 6 members of the public have been selected for your impartiality. Are you ready to proceed? Yes, my lord. If the task is to send rotters to the gallows where they belong, I'm more than ready.
At the manor, his lordship always says he should dispose of rubbish properly. Naturally, I agree.
Ha! Any criminals here would soon be wishing they'd never set eyes on me. Oh, that lady's just a typer. Oh, that's one less voice. Hopefully. I feel a chill.
Oh, don't mind me, my dears. I'll just be getting on with my knitting. Must finish these mitts for my grandson. Ah, Mr. Naruhodo, these people are...
The jury, yes. It's something we don't have in Japan yet.
That's right. I've only ever read about it. But here in Great Britain, the court's final verdict depends on the opinions of these 6 jurors.
Oh, she's not a typer, or whatever they're called.
Judge passes sentence according to the law, but the jurors determine guilt based on common sense. So the defendant is ultimately judged from 2 completely points of view.
But how exactly do the jurors give their verdict?
That I don't know.
What? You guys been studying and you don't know?
But I'm sure it'll become clear as the trial progresses.
Yeah. Prosecutor Van Sykes. My lord. It's been a number of years since we've seen you here in the courtroom. I thought you'd renounce your fame. I'm known as the Reaper of the Bailey, my lord. Infamy rather than fame, I would say. But yes, 5 years have passed since I spread my wings in this capacity. So, what brings her back? Is there some change of circumstances of which the court should be aware? I leave that to your imagination, my lord. So the Reaper's been out of action for 5 years, so there's a chance. Why did he have to choose today of all days to make a comeback?
Don't lose heart, Mr. Naruhodo.
As you wish, sir. The court nevertheless welcomes your return. Not me. Well then, opening statements, I think. A summary of the case, if you... Certainly, my lord. As your lordship is aware, this is a case of overwhelming simplicity. Must be the only ones in here who aren't aware. The incident took place in the late evening, 3 days past. The hour was some minutes after 10. The victim was a maker of building bricks, known in the community as Thrice Fried Mason. Sorry? Thrice? Is there a... Oh. Okay. Male strong heart. Give justice. Incredibly wealthy. Wonderful reputation. 32, wait, 48, 52, 16. Supposedly the souls of those he prosecutes are eternally damned. Sorry, thrice? He was a very accomplished craftsman. The bricks he fired were said to be almost indestructible. The victim's corpse was discovered in an omnibus in service on the streets of London at the time. A dagger had been thrust into the victim's abdomen, is believed to be the ultimate cause of death. Here's the autopsy report from the investigating medical officer at Scotland Yard. Thank you, Consul. I shall accept that and the photograph as evidence. Time to look at the evidence. Thrice fried Mason. Oh, thrice fired. Thrice fired Mason male. Before brickmaker. 10:11 p.m. Stabbed once in the bus. Internal hemorrhaging resulting from the trauma. And one further item of evidence. The prosecution wishes to submit these as well. And these are... Good lord. Is that blood, Consul? Yes, my lord. Seized by a policeman who arrived at the scene. These gore-soaked gloves were taken from the hands of the accused when he was arrested. What? Mr. McGilted's gloves had blood on them?
Get him.
Yes, I will accept these as evidence as well. Okay, time to take a look at them now, too. This is definitely blood, isn't it? Not the most pleasant sight to be confronted with on our first day in London.
Well, nothing will come of grumbling now.
No, by the way, is Mr. McGilded right-handed?
Yes, I believe so. He's toying with a coin in his right hand a little earlier.
Ah, pity. Only been left-handed.
I think blood on either glove will be fairly incriminating, really.
Yeah. You only need one. You don't need to be handed to stab someone to death. Nothing inside. Okay. How did I get into this? I'm backed in the corner before I even started. Continuing. According to the driver of the omnibus, there were only 2 passengers traveling inside his vehicle at the time. Only 2? Obviously, one of those passengers was the deceased brickmaker, Mr. Mason. The other was the accused, Magnus McGilted. Well, rather damning circumstances, to say the least. Defendant, what say you?
Well, of course, I have no recollection of such a thing. Mr. McGilded. To be sure, I rode this omnibus that evening, but whenever I'm in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness, and I always succumb to it.
Are you claiming to have fallen asleep?
'Tis the motion of the carriage, my lord. Littleton, so it is, and when I opened my eyes again, 'twas a desperate sight before me. The body of a man I've never laid eyes on before in my life. Now I ask yous, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fellow bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about my gloves now, was I? I reached out to give that man a hand. So the blood got on the gloves then, after the man had been killed.
Unfortunately, that statement of the driver's is only the beginning.
What? That's not all of it?
There were multiple witnesses to the precise moment in which the brickmaker was fatally stabbed. Order, order, order. When the killing took place, only the victim and the accused were inside the carriage. There were witnesses to the crime. This is not a case of compelling evidence. It's the nail in the coffin for the accused. Thank you, counsel. The circumstances of the crime have been made quite clear. I think we will hear the testimony from these witnesses first of all. Your wish is my command. Bailiff, bring the witnesses at once. Switching voices. Oh god, 3 more voices. Witnesses, your names and occupations.
My name, well, everyone calls me Beppo. I drive the omnibus in the East End.
Bruce Fairplay, I'm a banker in the city.
My name is First, Lady First. I make hats for gents.
Let's begin by confirming the facts. 3 days ago, at a short time after 10 o'clock in the evening, all of you present in the stand were in the omnibus and witness to the aforementioned incident. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Quite right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, that's right, sir.
Very well then. Let's proceed to your formal testimonies, please. Each of you will tell the court precisely what you saw. Witness testimony. What the witnesses saw.
It was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well.
The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus. Then out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into his guts.
That's right. He stabbed him. I screamed, I did. Couldn't help it. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus, and then I saw it too.
Unambiguous testimony, I must say. Exactly, my lord. These men had witnessed the incident in the omnibus with their own eyes. I'd like to ask a question, if I may. Yes, counsel. Well, this testimony makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Why not? You don't speak English? Well, the incident took place inside a moving carriage, didn't it? As it has been clearly stated from the outset, yes. Well, in that case, how could those 2 witnesses possibly have seen what happened? There's no way they could have seen the inside of the moving carriage. Huh? How quaint. I'd read that civilization in Eastern Island nations was a good century behind our own. But you're here in London yourself. Are you really so ignorant about our omnibuses? Huh? Tell me, my Nepalese friend, have you ever traveled in an omnibus? Well, no. Well, I'm only arrived in London this morning. No matter. I've arranged for us all to see for ourselves the actual scene of the crime, that is. What? How do you mean? The actual scene? How? A carriage is designed to be moved after all. Presumably, do you understand that much? Kinda. The omnibus in which the bloody crime took place is here today, in this very building. Here? What? The entire carriage? Bailiff, bring forth the stricken omnibus. Whoa. So that's an omnibus. The omnibus. Can't believe they could bring something so enormous in here. Great Britain's courtrooms are amazing. As you could see, the omnibus is pulled by 2 horses and can carry up to 8 passengers. Four passengers seated inside the enclosed cabin, and another 4 on the rooftop of the deck above. Every Londoner knows that the best views of the city's architecture and sights are to be had from the top of an omnibus. And I should point... it looks like it's on the witness stand. And I should point out to our foreign guests that there is a skylight on the roof, allowing a view of the interior from the seats above. Ah, a skylight. Oh! The penny drops at last, I see. These 2 gentlemen were occupying the rooftop seats on the omnibus when the murder took place. That is how they came to witness the grim incident. Through the skylight. Ah, that makes perfect sense. World Council, this is a first. In all my years behind the bench, I'd never experienced the crime scene itself being brought into the courtroom. There are a number of important clues remaining inside the carriage, my lord. I would like to submit the omnibus itself as evidence. That is the prosecution's wish. Very well. I see no reason why not. The omnibus is here, but formally accepted as evidence. 8-seater omnibus. I can't believe it. The entire crime scene entered as evidence.
Yes, Great Britain is simply extraordinary.
I could help myself a lot by giving that omnibus a thorough examination, seeing as it's here. Yeah, I was just about to do that. Oh, wow.
Well, let's open the door and go inside, shall we?
The scene of a murder. It's horrible. Don't mind us, guys. We're just gonna look around and see. That's blood soaked into the seat. The victim's obviously.
Yes. The seat would be clearly visible from the roof deck.
Would you really stab someone in full view of other passengers like that, I wonder?
Well, it was after dark. And there was a lamp on in here, so perhaps the culprit couldn't see anything outside through the skylight.
Whichever way you look at it, it doesn't seem like it was a planned attack. I can click on it again. Oh, it doesn't do a check mark. Oh, damn it. Let's try this seat. This seat looks reasonably soft, but it's rather hard when you sit on it. And only just wide enough for 2 gentlemen to sit in side by side, really.
Of course, an English gentlefellow would be dressed in such finery. It would be quite impossible for her to climb up to the roof deck, so she would have to be seated in here.
A woman in a kimono would have the same problem. Women's clothes are very practical, aren't they? Ah, that's a poster for the great exhibition that's due to start 6 months from now. There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole exposition.
Oh, the Crystal Tower? It's under construction already, I believe. People all over London must be fizzing with excitement at the prospect of such a grand event.
Get out.
Have you seen enough? Let's step back outside then. So this is the roof deck of the omnibus.
Oh,
Oh, you must have a wonderful view of London streets from up here.
So people sit all the way up here on bitter winter nights with the cold air rushing past them? They pay the money to do so?
I can't imagine how cold it must feel.
That just made me think of something horrible. Can you imagine being dragged around the city in the freezing cold as punishment?
Perhaps that is the real price you pay to stay out late.
Wait, Phoenix Wright Omnibus? Is that where he changes his name to Phoenix Wright? Oh, just this glass. You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure.
Yes, and there's a lamp in the closed cabin. So I'm sure the witness would be able to see quite clearly.
That's not good for us. Let us continue with the proceedings then. Your cross-examination, counsel. Pray don't expect this Nipponese stray to understand the intricacies of a British court's cross-examination rights. Alright, my first cross-examination in a British court. Focus, Ryunosuke. Focus. What the witnesses saw. Hold it! And I'll say yes. Yes, I think it was sometime after 10, wasn't it? Oh, yes, sir. That's right, sir. Yes. Ever so cold it was, sir. Freezing, in fact. And you had 4 passengers on board at the time? Is that correct? Yes, that's right, sir. Not all traveling in the same parts of the bus, of course, though, no. And there were no other passengers when the incident took place. No one alighted, for example. You're quite right with that, sir. No other passengers like that, no, none. So nobody fled the scene of the crime then? I have to say, the boss insists on it running. He does every evening, that last bus of the day. But I do wonder sometimes if altogether worthwhile. Yes, sorry to say. But what do you mean by that? Well, with it being so cold and everything, making 20 pets on the run, you see. Yeah, yes, I spend that much at the pub on the way home, just try to warm up again. Hold it. And you saw them through the skylight in the roof of the carriage? That's right. When you sit up on the top deck, the window's right there at your feet. There was a lamp inside, so I had a pretty good view. The 2 of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. But there's not a shred of doubt in my mind that it was Mr. McGilded. How can you be so sure? Well, how could I put it politely? Mr. McGilded is a gentleman of rather small stature. I couldn't have mistaken him for anyone else. Let's not forget, when the vehicle came to a halt, the only people inside the enclosed cabin were the deceased Mr. Mason and the Mr. McGilded. There's no room for doubt here. I really wish there was. Then out of the blue, the accused reached over and plunged his knife into his guts. You actually saw the moment it happened? Didn't I already testify to that? Or are fair dinkum hard-working city bankers not considered trustworthy these days? Oh, No, I didn't mean it that. This is no good. I really got his back up. Perhaps you could tell us what you saw in more details?
My lord.
Juror number 3? What's the meaning of this?
My mind is made up, my lord. Completely and utterly made up.
Made up about what?
I don't like the stinking rich, never have. They're always up to something or another or other that they shouldn't be, every one of them. And that little leprechaun of a man is no exception. Well, he can't fool me.
Black means guilty, white means innocent.
There's no point in wasting time to any more of this. That's my opinion of the matter anyway.
Hold it! Oh, that's precisely what I was about to say. As for the foreman of the jury, it's my duty to set a good example to my fellow jurors. Oh, jeez. Already? What's happening here?
Let me see. Ah, yes, it seems that's how the members of the jury give their verdicts.
With fire?
Apparently, yes. White for innocent, black for guilty. And the 6 members of the jury make up their minds about the case, one by one. They each cast a ball of fire into the great scales of justice as we saw a moment ago.
If those enormous scales fall completely to the black side, does that mean?
Let's do our very best to make sure that doesn't happen.
Oh, now I'm even more worried than I was before. Very well. The court acknowledges the change in the jury's stance. Counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination. This is a nightmare.
That's right, he stabbed him. I screamed, I get it out, but...
You stabbed him, you say? And you were sitting up on the roof deck, were you?
Yes, that's right, sir. I was on the roof seats.
Excuse me!
Oops! Well, Mr. Beppo? Oh, me, sir? Well, sir, that was just one thing, sir. I was wondering what's going to become of my omnibus, sir, after that trial. What do you mean? Well, I'm wondering if no one will ride in the cursed carriage someone was killed in. Will everyone want to ride it? Yes, the cursed carriage will be an attraction, maybe. Could be sink or swim moment for me. Oh yes, I think that will be. Well, if you could just focus on the testimony for the time being, please. Oh no. Oops. Ah, God, I keep misclicking. Alright, so this is when it happened. Only 2 people in the closed cabin were the victim and defendant. And so help me. 3 whole people witnessed the man I'm trying to defend due to the deed.
I don't like being pessimistic, but we do seem to be in a rather difficult situation here.
What am I supposed to think here? Mr. McGilded really isn't innocent. Or could it be?
Before we jump into conclusions, our first task should be to gather information. We need to understand the case much better than we do at the moment. Yes.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Let's listen to these witnesses' statements again, a little more carefully this time. Yeah, don't misclick. 1, 2, 4. Hold it. Stabbed him. Yes, that's right. I was on the roof seats. I remember seeing the Chet sitting next to the fellow. I remember seeing the little Chet sitting next to the fellow that was stabbed. I've been thinking about a new hat design, you see. So I was just gazing absent-mindedly around. But then, I happened to look down at the skylight. Oh, it was sticking right out from his belly, that huge, great knife. A grim sight indeed. That didn't help me at all. Yeah, right. Sure look like they're even more convinced my client did it than they were before. It appears
to have made everyone even more dubious that Mr. McGilded is telling the truth. If only we had some evidence to counter their suspicions.
Mr. First.
Oh, yes, sir.
Is this a knife you saw?
Oh, great grief, that's it. The very one. Is that?
Yes, Counsel. This is the blade that has been driven into the victim's belly like a stake through the heart. That blade of considerable size, Counsel. It is. And furthermore, the scabbard is emblazoned prominently with a certain initial. Letter M, which seems oddly familiar.
Please, no.
M, for Magnus perhaps, or McGilded possibly. Take your pick. It's a W. It seems this particular big name in London made a magnificent mistake.
Objection.
Yeah. But there are M's everywhere. Like in Mason. Objection. This blade is far too extravagant for a poor brickmaker to have owned. No, this weapon of murder almost certainly belongs to the accused. Not conclusive, but certainly compelling, Counsel. Murder weapon. Fancy.
My lord, if you forgive the interruption.
Jury number 2, go on.
Mr. McGilded is a pillar of society and a gentleman, and a gentleman's word should be sacrosanct. However, guilty. Those of us in the service know we must accept hard truths.
Wait, what are you about to do?
Dispose of the rubbish.
Oh, jeez. No.
I don't wish to cause offense, but I do like to eradicate all traces of filth and grime. Hold it.
Uh-oh.
I have painstakingly typed every word over here today, cross-referenced all the facts. As such, I am now positioned to draw the only logical conclusion. Guilty.
Oh, jeez. Not again.
That's 4 out of 6 jury members who proposed a guilty verdict. There are only 2 left.
We've had it. Every time I press the witness for more information, I just make the situation worse.
Nevertheless, what we need more than anything at the moment is more information. We're still very much in the dark.
I suppose I'll just have to keep pressing the witnesses, knowing that more sparks may well fly.
We mustn't give up hope that we'll uncover something that will give us a way to fight back.
But, alright, I'll keep trying. Can't give up. Just need to keep calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again. Okay. Okay, now let's take a look at the weapon.
This part is the sheath, isn't it? You alright, Mr. Naruhodo?
Oh, sorry, yes, I just don't really like blades.
Oh. Those don't seem to be the words of a man with a large katana slung from his waist.
That's not a blade, that's Kazuma's soul. Anyway, there's no sense in delaying it. Let's see what the blade looks like. Man, looks really nice. That looks like a lot of blood.
It surely is blood, the victim's.
And English blood looks a lot like Japanese man's blood.
Did you think it wouldn't?
Sorry, it's just, we've only just arrived here in Great Britain. I'm finding it a little hard to adjust.
Yes, I do understand.
Hey, where's the M? Oh, there it is. See? It could be a W. M's don't usually swirl around. Yeah, I think it's a W. And an ornate letter M, undeniably Mr. Magnus McGilted's initial.
It's beautifully gilded, too. It must be very valuable, I should think.
Ah,
What is it?
look at this M. If you turn it upside down, it becomes a W. This could change everything.
A W?
Yes, it's one of those, turnabout cases. I'm sure of it.
I'm afraid I don't know at all. But what I am sure of is that this is an M.
Oh, well, that idea was quickly squashed. I don't know. Could be a W. Oh, wait. Nothing in the pommel, right? Oh, it's just a sheath again. There's nothing in the sheath, right? There's no step ladder talk? Oh, jeez. Job Masters, London head office. Wait, I didn't press this one yet. And as I heard her scream, I stopped my bus. What exactly did you see? Oh well, sir, that would be the passenger, sir. Yes, collapsed on the floor he was. And by the passenger, obviously you're referring to the victim, Mr. Mason, the big brickmaster. And the other passenger that had the knife in his hand like this. By the other passenger, you're referring to the accused, Mr. Magnus McGilted. And they plunged it down like this, stabbing the other passengers in the belly. But he was driving. How did he see? He doing something? Oh, it's just his head. What? My lord, I wish to speak. Yes, juror number 5. Do I take it that you too, as the master of London Guild of Coachmen, the idea of a murder being committed in one of my city's carriages is utterly abhorrent to me. It wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing all the facts, though, I said to myself. This is a conflict of interest, but I've heard enough now. The horse has bolted, as they say. No, please, just keep an open mind a little. Gee up now, Silverblaze. The finish is in sight. Oh, jeez. Beppo is a long-standing member of the guild, and I trust what the man says.
Oh, thank you, sir. You're too kind, sir.
Oh, this is too unkind, sir. Which now means we have 5, which now means that 5 jurors agree to condemn this man.
Guilty.
Madam Juror number 6.
Yes, dear. What can I do for you?
You've heard the testimonies of the witness in the stand.
Oh, yes, I certainly have. Still got my hearing, you know.
Then, pray tell, why are you yet to pronounce your leaning?
Well, dear, thing is, I'm a creature of habit, you see. I always go to the park at around this time of day and sit on a nice bench and get my knitting. There's a lovely little park just near where I live. A Gilded Park, it's called. The gentleman donated it to the city, you know, to put a smile on Londoners' faces, he said. Oh, I can't imagine such a fine young gentleman would have in it him to take another man's life.
He's always doing good
doing wonderful things for the city. That's right, a man like that wouldn't stab someone, surely. Mother, may we go to McGilded Public Libraries later and borrow some more books?
How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do you people not know? What kind of a man Magnus McGilded really is? What kind of man is he? The philanthropist Magnus McGilded has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly. But where did all that wealth come from? Your client is a Shylock, sir, and one with the very darkest of souls. What?
Stone the crows.
I wonder what that means. McGilded lends him money at extortionate rates of interest, so his victims have no hope of repaying him. When they default, he takes possession of everything they own. He is a vulture that preys on the weak.
I've never heard of any mention of that before.
Your faculties haven't deserted you, I'm sure, madam. So has this thought not crossed your mind? Would a man wealthy enough to buy London in its entirety not have a carriage of his own? Huh? What possible reason could this man have to make a use of a public omnibus service? You're not saying that the victim, a poor bookmaker, had nothing to his name save considerable financial liability. It will come to no surprise that his creditor was the accused, Magnus McGilded. But let it also be known that that very day Mr. Mason was killed was the final repayment date for his debts. Good gracious! The brickmaker was destitute. He had lost his house. He had not a shilling with which to repay his debts. And in the end, this pitiful soul had the very last thing he owned taken from him, his life. By the merciless philanthropist pretender Magnus McGilded. I don't believe it.
If I might add something briefly?
Mrs. Sato.
You claim that the victim had been lent money by the Mr. McGilded. But where's the evidence to support your claim?
I was gonna say, where'd that come from? Pray forgive this discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice in the court of law. Aha, there it is, Lord Van Sykes' hallowed chalice. How can this be considered acceptable? But I find myself in unexpected good humor. I had heard ladies from far east could show great courage, but I didn't expect to experience it myself.
Ah, as a judicial assistant to the defense, I am simply doing my job.
What a pity your display of courage is in vain. This is the debtor's ledger, which details all monies loaned by the accused. You will find the victim's name clearly recorded inside.
Oh.
Allow me to present this ledger as evidence. And pray forgive the discourtesy of raising my chalice and toast to the enigmatic East at the same time. A marvelous toast, counsel. I will gladly accept this new evidence. Debtor's ledger. 20 guineas. Ah yes, 20 guineas. The victim owed a considerable sum. This portfolio must contain all sorts of secrets of London's gentry.
Oh dear. Do you really think we ought to look inside?
Well, it's not as though we know any of London's gentry personally, is it? Apart from our great detective friend, perhaps. Actually, I wonder.
I assure you we will not find Mr. Sholmes' name inside.
Well, let's see what we find. Thing on the back, right? Okay.
Gosh, it's crammed full of gentlemen's names, isn't it?
Well, I suppose they're probably not all gentlemen at all, are they? After all, not everyone in this country is well off.
Ah, goodness.
What is it?
Look at this. Do you see the name here? Bruce Fairplay.
Should that mean something to me? It does sound strangely familiar, actually.
Bruce Fairplay, the witness testifying at this very moment.
Oh, yes, of course, the banker. Why is his name on here? Ah, he borrowed 20 guineas, did he? Oh, look, the repayment date is fast approaching.
It's possible that it's just a coincidence, of course, but this could be very useful information.
Huh. So he did it. Oh, more people. Beppo. City banker, he witnessed it. So, he stabbed the victim. So he stabbed the victim. Oh, okay. Since it was his last day to pay the debt, he probably had the 20 on him. And he took it. Ah, yes. And the accused made quite certain he had ample recompense.
Well, it would seem to have had wool pull over my eyes.
Regrettably, madam, this is the modus operandi of the accused.
It's such a pretty little pug, too. What a scoundrel.
No!
Still. Maybe it's all for the best. Wait a minute. Let's talk about this a bit. I don't stand for nonsense.
So, do we lose? Find out next time on the next episode. So don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you.